Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
We have a breaking story that we're following. A tree is down on power lines in Durham. We're going to tell you what we know about that cleanup process underway.
And it's going to be a hot and sticky day today with a small chance for storms later this afternoon. I'll walk you through it.
And protests in Raleigh, demonstrators are planning to speak out today after state lawmakers passed a pair of immigration bills. What the bills say and how people are reacting this morning. Thank you so much for joining us here on your Wednesday. I'm Michelle McConaughey.
I'm Chris Lovingood. We have to put an adjective in front of Wednesday. You're muggy Wednesday as you're waking up this morning.
Yeah.
You can feel that air as you're walking outside here today. We have meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner, who's tracking that very closely, and she doesn't have her hair up just yet, so it hasn't gotten too muggy outside for her.
Oh, it's pretty darn muggy out here, I'll tell you that. So high pressure is building in behind the front that brought us some rain overnight last night, just in a couple of pockets. That high pressure system will keep our potential for rain and thunderstorms fairly low today, just a 20 to 30% chance. We're looking at a similar situation again tomorrow. And then we see much more moisture rushing back in and a much better chance for storms Friday into the weekend. Here's a live look at Apex, a little bit of blue sky as we're looking up above Salem Street. Our temperature is 76 and our dew point is 70. When our dew point hits 70, we are way over on the muggy meter. It's a very summer-like feel, a very sort of oppressive feeling atmosphere. And that's what we have with us right now. If you need to get anything done outside, I would do it as early as you can. We'll see highs in the low 90s this afternoon. It's a little hotter than yesterday. And with the humidity, it'll feel like mid 90s today, but even higher over the weekend. We'll check that out coming up. Ken?
All right, Elizabeth, happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center. We got congestion building on some of our major routes, including US 1 coming in and out of Apex this morning into the capital city. We're going to isolate the Beltline because this crash on Gorman Street is causing some delays stretching all the way back to Lake Wheeler Road. So let's take you outside, take a spin around the Beltline, if you will. The westbound lanes are moving away from us this morning. You can see the slowdown there. There's a stalled vehicle off to the shoulder of the road. Similarly, in the eastbound lanes, a couple of stalled vehicles, but not really causing any problems for you this morning. The northern loop of the Beltline, things seem to be flowing a lot pretty smoothly to and fro this morning. Not a problem to report. In terms of other major routes coming into the capital city, you're looking at a 5-minute delay if you're coming in from Wake Forest this morning, a 3-minute delay on I-87 Nightdale. Here's that Apex delay that I was telling you about in US 1. You're looking at a 5-minute delay. Over in Durham, very little to no delays coming into the Bull City this morning. Just a 3-minute delay if you're coming in from Highway 98. I do want to isolate I-885 there this morning because we're seeing a little bit of a slowdown. But for those of you using I-540 as an alternate route, you're looking at a 6-minute delay if you get on the Lewisburg Road all the way over to I-40 this morning. You're getting ready to head into the car. Tune us in on the radio, 101.5 HD3.
We want to get back to that breaking news story we've been following this morning. A tree is down on some power lines in Durham, and that's where we find WRAL's Laura Levine. She's been there for a bit, and you've been monitoring that cleanup process so far, Laura. What more can you tell us?
Hey, Chris, good morning. Within the past 30 minutes, we know that tree was removed from the scene here. Now, power crews have just arrived within the last 2 minutes. Behind me, you can see those crews just added some cones here, blocking one lane here, just so that drivers are aware of the workers doing their jobs right now. So those utility crews just arrived. We know that that large tree came down around 3 o'clock this morning, tumbling over those power lines. Those power lines, you can see, are still down at this time. This morning, it caused a little bit of some backups here on North Roxborough Street. This is in North Durham, near the intersection of Macwood Drive, not too far from the old Northern High School here in Durham. But again, those crews are now working to do the second half of that really hefty load this morning. First, it was making sure they were able to pick up that tree debris, and now it's making sure that they're able to kind of restore some of these power lines that were damaged this morning. Laura Levine, WRAL News, live in Durham.
A curfew in the city of Los Angeles will soon be lifted amid anti-ICE protests over the last several days. The curfew went into effect last night, is set to end at 6 o'clock Pacific time, 9 a.m. our time. It applies to a 1 square mile section of downtown. The LAPD says it began mass arrests when the curfew went into effect. At least 378 people have been arrested in the last 4 days. And LA Mayor Karen Bass says more than 23 businesses have been looted. Over the course of the last several days, President Trump has deployed more than 4,000 National Guard members and 700 Marines. Typically, governors are the ones that deploy the National Guard. It is extremely rare for a president to do so when a governor has not requested it.
Hundreds of people are expected to protest in the streets of Raleigh tonight, and there's heightened tension because the North Carolina Senate approved Senate Bill 153. That is a wide-ranging immigration bill that would require state and local government agencies to cooperate with ICE deportation efforts. This legislation moved forward during a time in the country where there are protests against ICE all across America. Dozens of protesters packed the Senate gallery, and then they marched to the governor's mansion. Tonight, larger demonstrations are planned in Moore Square, and that's expected around 6 o'clock.
Today, a bill that would allow carrying a concealed weapon without a permit could get final approval in the state legislature. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey outside the legislative building this morning. Kelsey, gun rights activists are pushing this move, but it is raising some concerns.
Yes, Michelle, it is. This bill would essentially allow almost anyone who's 18 or older to carry a concealed gun without a permit. So this morning, or rather later this afternoon, House leaders will meet here in the legislative building to make a final vote. You're looking at video now of state lawmakers discussing that bill yesterday. Right now, concealed carry permits have several requirements: a background check, a fee, a test that proves you know how to shoot and understand gun laws, plus you have to be 21. This proposed bill would lower the age to 18 and eliminate all those other requirements. Republicans who support this change say it gets rid of unnecessary red tape. Critics say this is a public safety threat and could lead to more young people having guns without proper training. Now, a couple Republicans have actually voted against this early in the voting process. Some have chosen not to vote at all. So we'll be sure to keep you updated on the final vote that's likely to happen later today. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
A family was displaced because of a fire at their house in Holly Springs. I mean, look at your screen here. You can see the heavy flames in the window. This fire happened yesterday afternoon on Sunset Walk Lane, and 2 people were inside the house when the fire happened, but they were able to safely escape. Investigators are working to determine what even caused this fire.
An 18-year-old woman is dead after a car crashed into a pond in Harnett County. The WRAL breaking news tracker was on scene when emergency crews responded to Norrington Road in Lillington around 6:30 last night. They found a car that had overturned into the pond. Officials believe the crash happened more than 15 hours earlier at about 3 o'clock yesterday morning. Police say they believe rain and speed was a factor in how that car ended up in the pond.
President Trump visited Fort Bragg for a demonstration of military might, and he witnessed just how powerful and how fast and capable the Army is at responding when needed. More than 600 paratroopers jumped from planes, and heavy artillery was displayed. There were also simulated building raids. And while at Fort Bragg, President Trump highlighted plans for new investments in the armed forces.
Our one big, beautiful bill, we are also investing over $1 billion to update your on-base housing. And we're building a state-of-the-art missile defense shield to protect our homeland. And it's called the Golden Dome. It's going to be all made in America.
Now, in addition to praising the Army and its readiness, the president also talked about other military goals. That includes military recruitment, restoring the names of 7 more military bases previously named after Confederate figures, and his response to the protests in Los Angeles. Now, some of the claims he made in that speech have been challenged in previous addresses. You can find those addresses on WRAL.com in the fact check.
A company that makes futuristic fuel-efficient jets appears to be picking North Carolina for a new factory. California jet maker Jet Zero is considering a site at Piedmont Triad International Airport in Greensboro. This announcement could bring more than 10,000 jobs to our state. And while the name of the company was not listed in the invitation, WRAL learned state and local business groups, they're planning a major announcement at the Greensboro Airport tomorrow. You can read our full story on WRAL.com.
Happening today, students from HBCUs will be at the state capitol for a news conference. And organizers say the event will demand state lawmakers support HBCUs and voting rights. That news conference is scheduled to start at noon.
People in Fayetteville have a chance to share their input on possible uses for a piece of city-owned land. The city is hosting a community conversation tonight about land located at Blunt and Gillespie Streets. Officials say attendees will learn about the background information of the site before getting the chance to share what type of development they would like to see. That event will start at 6 o'clock tonight at the J.S. Spivey Rec Center.
Raleigh police officers are heading to South Wilmington Street this morning, and it's for the department's Cops on the Block initiatives. Officers will be in the area around 10 a.m., and that event is designed to help connect officers with the neighborhoods they serve. The department plans to host these events in every district across the city, and that initiative began in 2022.
Trade deal progress. It appears the U.S. and China have worked out a key piece of a possible trade agreement. What comes next for a potential deal?
And airline bomb threat. Passengers forced to get off their flight and a man under arrest. Why authorities say that threat was even called in.
And it's steamy out here right now. We do have a small chance for afternoon and evening thunderstorms. I'll walk you through that on Futurecast and show you why those chances will go up over the weekend. #8:13, taking a live look at Apex this morning. There's definitely some cloud cover. I've noticed as I've been standing out here on the WRAL weather patio, some pretty big holes in the clouds that are starting to develop, and we'll continue to see that across the area. Lots of low clouds, though, formed early this morning, and later this afternoon, we have a small chance for showers and thunderstorms, especially in our south and eastern counties. It's about a 20 to 30% chance, so most of us won't end up seeing any rain for today. We take a look at temperatures. Walking out the door, 74 in Wilson, 76 in Durham, and 75 in Fayetteville, with a little bit of sun trying to peek out. If you haven't been to the Gibson Play Plaza at Dix Park, man, it is quite a treat. A pro tip, put a bathing suit on the kids. There's a lot of water to play in, and that's where they'll want to be today with that high of 91. I'll talk about the high heat index in the days to come coming up.
All right, Elizabeth, happening now in the W Traffic Center. We're still seeing a little bit of a slowdown between Highway 55 and US 64 there in Apex. Nothing really that's going to make you late, but it's a little bit of a slowdown. Around the Beltline, things have definitely really beginning to improve because look at this. Just seeing a little bit of yellow, the northern loop of the Beltline as well. I'll have an update in just about 5 minutes coming up.
All right, thank you, Ken. China's trade negotiator says the country has worked out the framework of a trade deal with the U.S. After rounds of talks in London on Monday and Tuesday, both sides will bring the proposal back to their respective leaders for approval. This follows a long-anticipated phone call between President Trump and President Xi Jinping last week. The major sticking points in negotiations have been China's control over so-called rare earth minerals and its access to semiconductor technology originating in the U.S.
President Trump plans to phase out FEMA after the 2025 hurricane season, and he says he wants to bring the agency down to the state level and let governors handle it. Trump also says the federal government will start distributing less federal aid for disaster recovery, and the president's plans have been criticized among federal and state leaders. They say most states do not have the budget or personnel to handle catastrophic disasters on their own. A local scientist who was fired from the nation's vaccine advisory panel is talking to WRAL about what happened. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. dumped all 17 members of the advisory committee on immunization practices. That panel advises the CDC about how to use vaccines. Well, UNC scientist Noel Brewer served on the committee, and he says the mass firing is a blow to public health.
Overnight, the trust that physicians and other healthcare providers put in ACIP recommendations disappeared. It's a large loss of public health capacity.
And Brewer says that if doctors don't trust the new panel, professional organizations may have to create their own recommendations. Secretary Kennedy says he plans to have a new board installed within 2 weeks, and he promises not to appoint so-called, quote, anti-vaxxers on the panel.
A Spirit Airlines flight in Detroit stopped and held on the runway because of a bomb threat. The FBI says the man who called it in was supposed to be on that flight, but missed it. Everyone on board Spirit Airlines flight 2145 had to be removed from that plane and screened on the runway by TSA dogs. But within just a few hours, the FBI said they had their suspect, 23-year-old John Robinson, who allegedly admitted to calling in the threat after arriving too late for the flight and telling the Spirit Airlines rep on the phone, quote, "There's going to be someone that's going to try to blow up that flight 2145.
We have a situation, so we unfortunately are going to have to deboard this aircraft, and everybody's going to have to be rescreened.
When Robinson showed up for the flight he'd been rebooked on, he was arrested. He is charged with use of a cell phone to threaten, maliciously convey a bomb threat, and phoning in false information. Well, our weather team often uses dew point instead of relative humidity to tell us how muggy it really feels out there. Meteorologist Chris Michaels explains why in today's Ask the Meteorologist, Chris.
And regardless, it's just air you can wear as you step outside today, right? But there's a very specific reason why we use the dew point instead of relative humidity. So the dew point is basically the amount of moisture that's in the air. When there's colder air, it's not able to hold a lot of moisture, but when the air is warmer, it can hold a lot more water vapor. That's why you often see heavier rain during the summer months as opposed to the winter months. But let's kind of set up a scenario. Let's say it's a January morning. You step outside, it's 32 degrees. The dew point is 32 degrees as well. That technically is 100% relative humidity. Now let's fast forward to a day like today when the temperature is 90, the dew point is 70, so it's higher, it feels muggier, but the relative humidity is only 52%, right? That doesn't exactly make sense. That's why we use the dew point. Now, our bodies, they react differently depending on how much moisture is out there. We explain why on WRAL.com, and coming up in a few minutes, Elizabeth Gardner is going to show us when we see the heat index nearing triple digits.
All right, thank you for that perspective, Chris. A congresswoman from New Jersey was charged over her involvement in an anti-ICE protest. LaMonica McIver is facing charges accusing her of interfering with law enforcement. The Democratic lawmaker was arrested May 9th during a protest outside an ICE facility in Newark, and she could face up to 17 years in prison if she's convicted. Covering Wake County, a new schools program is turning hundreds of wasted food items a day into snacks for hungry students. The SHARE program lets children give away packaged food they don't want to eat from their breakfast or lunch. School leaders tell the school board the program is so popular, the donated food is usually gone within a day. It's in 8 elementary schools now, and it will expand to 6 more and 4 middle schools next year.
Wake County students are helping fight hunger in our community. Students at Dillard Drive Magnet Elementary School held a cereal collection drive. It's a student-led initiative to collect boxes of cereal to feed families. Students created a domino chain using the 700 cereal boxes collected to demonstrate how one person's efforts can create a ripple effect.
I want them to remember that we are impacting families. Every time they see a box fall, it's another family that gets fed.
And some of the cereal will be distributed to Dillard Drive families. The rest will be donated to Urban Ministries. That is so fantastic.
I love it. The effort's great. All right, we do want to step outside with meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner, kind of starting our muggy start to the day, and whether this kind of weather is going to continue for the rest of the week, Elizabeth.
It is. The only change that we're really going to see is we're going to continue to add moisture into the atmosphere, especially Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So the heat index will continue to go up, making it feel just even hotter. And as Chris was saying, look at that dew point number. That dew point, when it hits 70, that means it just feels really sticky. When that dew point drops down to 50, which it doesn't do very often this time of year, it feels fabulous. So that's what we really want you to look at. Gives you a much better idea of how things are going to feel, which is, not great for the next few days. Fayetteville seeing some cloud cover. Look at that. Whoa, that sky there in Raleigh, right behind us here at WRAL. Looking pretty dramatic there with the blue and a little bit of cloud cover. Pretty gray in Apex and in Chapel Hill. Chapel Hill is courtesy of Top of the Hill restaurant. Here's a look at the big picture. Cold front sliding through, moving on out. Slightly drier air works its way in this afternoon. That's going to keep our dew point in the 60s, so it won't feel as bad today as it's going to the next several days. Checking Futurecast, you can see some cloud cover this morning. Notice at lunchtime, this is a brand new run that just came in moments ago. A couple little cells at lunchtime starting to develop south and east of the triangle. That's a little bit more coverage than the previous run, so just keep that in mind. South and east of Raleigh, starting around noon to around 4 or 5 o'clock, there could be a few showers and storms. And then at 9 o'clock, a little band starts to develop. So again, about a 20 to 30% chance of rain. If you're headed to the Bulls game, they have a homestand all week. I think it's whisker night. Like, you can take your cat to the game. Like, I've heard, of taking your dog to the game, but that's going to be an interesting one. Just a 20% chance of showers and thunderstorms. It'll definitely be warm and sticky. Game time temperature around upper 80s. Looking ahead to our next weather maker, it's going to be a big surge of moisture and an approaching front that's going to make things feel kind of miserable for the weekend. We're going to see that surge of moisture coming in for Friday, and then afternoon and evening thunderstorms for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's about a 50% chance on Friday and a 60% chance on Saturday and Sunday. So for Father's Day, it's going to be warm and humid. Now, it's not going to rain all day for the weekend, just those late day storms. Ken?
All right, Elizabeth, happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center. Congestion in some of our major routes, including between Highway 55 and US 64 there coming in on Cary into the capital city. And also got a couple of incidents in northern Wake County to the east of Raleigh. Neither is causing any problems for you this morning, but things have definitely begun to improve on the northern loop of the Beltline, but not so much the southern loop of the Beltline. These are the westbound lanes moving away from us, some bumper-to-bumper traffic there. On the northern loop of the Beltline, things are moving along rather nicely. These are the entrance to that northern loop of the Beltline as well. Many of you use I-540 as an alternate route, and taking a look at what you're going to find this morning, we're seeing that that's actually not a bad thing. 4-minute delay if you to get on Lewisburg Road coming all the way to I-440. Once you get past Falls of News, it's clear sailing all the way to I-40 this morning. In terms of other major routes coming into the capital city, here's what we're looking at. You're looking at a 5-minute delay if you're coming in from Wake Forest this morning. That's the delay I was telling you about on US 1 coming in from Apex, just a 5-minute delay. Over in Durham, very little to no delays heading into the Bull City at this hour.
All right, thank you, Ken. Summer safety. Raleigh police are launching a new initiative to keep crime at a minimum. The 3 goals of the new safety plan and the areas they'll focus on.
Plus, CPI cutbacks. A critical economic indicator is cutting back how much data it collects. In the next half hour, 5 on your side explains the effect this could have on the accuracy of the consumer price.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM. In Durham, 96.5 FM. And everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
Good morning and happy Wednesday. Time now is 8:26. I'm Michelle McConaughey. Let's get outside to meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner on the weather patio. A little cloudy out there and it's muggy.
It really is. We're going to take a look from up above our tall tower camera, looking off from southeast Wake County, looking westward. You can see a little deck of cloud cover, but some holes in those clouds and lots of blue up above. We do have a small chance with some daytime heating that we'll see a few scattered storms across the area during the afternoon and evening. Definitely going to be a hot one. A high of 91. The heat index will make it feel more like mid-90s today.
Now in the WRAL Traffic Center, boy, that southern loop of the Beltline. These are the westbound lanes moving away from us this morning. No problems to report in the eastbound lane. So in terms of your drive times or how much of a delay you're looking at, that southern loop, you're looking at a 6-minute delay between US 1 and over to the Beltline there in Cary. So not something that's going to make you late too much this morning, but just keep that in mind as you're about to head out. Elsewhere, we just have a couple of crashes, one on Lewisburg Road, the other one on Rendell Avenue. Neither is causing any problems for you this morning. We'll have another update on your morning commute at the bottom of the hour over on Fox 50.
Thanks, Ken. Hundreds of people are expected to protest in Raleigh today. They're joining other protesters around the country as well as challenging immigration bills in North Carolina. Demonstrators plan to gather in Moore Square at 6 p.m. And today, a bill that would allow carrying a concealed weapon without a permit could get final approval in the state legislature. Republicans who support it say it gets rid of unnecessary red tape. Critics say this is a threat to public safety. Coming up next on Fox 50, we'll have more news and weather for you.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
We're going to see some sunshine this afternoon, really heating things up. You can see the gardens behind me. I'll talk about how much more humid it will feel over the next several days.
Immigration enforcement protests. Protesters plan to publicly criticize immigration enforcement and bills moving through the State House about this.
And concealed carry debate. A bill could cross the finish line today at the state legislature. A look at what's at stake. Still a lot to get to for you on your Wednesday morning. Thanks for staying with us. I'm Michelle McConaughey.
I'm Chris Levingood. I feel like we're a little too chipper with our greeting there, just because, I mean, seriously, look outside. It looks really great at Lake Gaston.
Okay.
Usually it's beautiful and blue and sunrise, but not really seeing that this morning, Elizabeth. I'm trying to be in positive spirits today.
Yeah, so, you know, let me think. What is the most positive thing I can say about today? I don't know. I'm stumped over here. It's going to be hot. It's going to be humid. We're going to see afternoon and evening thunderstorms. I mean, a real summer-like pattern, which can be fairly uncomfortable. Looking at the gardens behind me, the sun is really starting to brighten up behind me. A lot of blue starting to break out of some of the clouds, and we'll see that continuing. But what that means is a couple things. More energy in the atmosphere, so a better chance of some scattered storms. It's a 20% chance late this afternoon and into the evening. The newest run of Futurecast just kind of bumped up our chances. So stick around about 10 minutes. I'll show you that. In Apex, still a good bit of cloud cover, but we're really beginning to see the clouds breaking up in most places. The dew point sitting at 70, and 70 is that number at which it really feels oppressively sticky. 70 and higher, it's just uncomfortable. 76 is our actual temperature, which temperature-wise isn't bad unless you add the humidity to it. And then highs this afternoon in the low 90s. We'll check the heat index for the weekend coming up.
Happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center, congested on some of our major routes, including US 1 in the northbound lanes between Highway 55 and Highway 64 there in the Apex area. Also the Beltline as well, the southern loop of the Beltline, as well as the northern loop. There was a crash on Gorman Street. That's clear, but you're still seeing the lingering delays stretching all the way back to Lake Wheeler Road. And this is what it looks like, courtesy of a live cam network. You see those westbound lanes moving away from us this morning. Initially, there were some issues in the eastbound lane. You can see a couple of stalled vehicles there, but no problems to report in those eastbound lanes as well. So you're getting ready to head out. This is what you're looking at. You're just looking at a 5-minute delay on that southern loop of the Beltline. If you're heading to Durham, Wade Avenue, you're just looking at a 3-minute delay. Coming in from Johnston County, it's clear sailing all the way up on those westbound lanes in Johnston County on I-40 this morning. Many of you use I-540 as an alternate route. If you get on Lewisburg Road, you're trying to make it all the way to I-40, you're just looking at a 5-minute delay. But once you get past Creedmoor Road, it's clear sailing all the way to 540 this morning, so nothing to worry about. In terms of other major routes heading into the capital city, here's what we're looking at. You're looking at a 5-minute delay if you're coming in from Wake Forest this morning, and there's that 7-minute delay that I talked about for those folks coming in from Apex and Alls Point South. You're getting ready to head into the car. Tune us in on the radio, 101.5 HD3.
We're still following this breaking news story as a large tree that's been removed from power lines. It fell on this area on North Roxborough Street in Durham. Now, the tree blocked the southbound lanes for several hours during the morning commute, but no major power outages were reported, and traffic's now moving again. The tree likely fell during overnight storms.
Protests against immigration policies are spreading coast to coast. In addition to Los Angeles and Raleigh, crowds are gathering in New York, Atlanta, Chicago, and Denver, just to name a few, carrying signs and voicing their unity against ICE raids and the Trump administration's tough stance against migrants. And happening right now in California, curfew in place in downtown L.A. until 6 a.m. Pacific time. Police are making mass arrests. Nearly 200 people were arrested yesterday. At least 378 people have been arrested in the past 4 days. L.A. Mayor Karen Bass says 23 businesses have been looted.
Today in Raleigh, hundreds of people are expected to protest and fight back against what they describe as an attack on immigrant communities and violent repression of protesters. Now, this heightened tension in the capital city, it comes after the North Carolina Senate approved Senate Bill 153, an immigration bill that requires state and local government agencies to cooperate with deportation efforts by ICE officials. Now, this legislation moved forward during nationwide protests against ICE and as protesters packed the Senate gallery. We're talking dozens of them. They then marched to the governor's mansion yesterday. Raleigh Police Chief Rico Boyce addressed how their department is preparing for possible unrest in the city.
We have a lot of practice with protests and some things that we learned since 2020. One is that we're going to make sure everybody exercises their First Amendment right. That is going to happen, but we want to make sure they do it safe.
The immigration crackdown bill now heads to Governor Stein's desk, and tonight demonstrators will take to the streets around 6 p.m. in Moore Square.
A major decision could come down today on a bill to loosen gun laws in North Carolina. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey is outside the legislative building this morning. Kelsey, lawmakers could approve who can carry a concealed weapon without a permit.
Yes, Michelle, they could. This bill would allow essentially almost anyone who is 18 or older to carry a concealed gun without a permit. House leaders will meet here at the state legislative building a little bit later today to possibly make a final vote. You're looking at video now from state lawmakers discussing this bill yesterday. Right now, concealed carry permits have several requirements: a background check, a fee, a test that proves you know how to shoot and understand gun laws. Plus, you have to be 21. This proposed bill would lower the age to 18 and eliminate all those other requirements. Republicans who support this change say it gets rid of unnecessary red tape. Critics say this is a public safety threat and could lead to more young people having guns without proper training. A couple of Republicans have actually voted against this bill early on in the voting process, and some decided not to vote at all. We'll be sure to keep you updated on the final vote that's likely going to happen later today. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
The Chapel Hill Carrboro NAACP is calling for fair treatment of Carrboro High's principal, Dr. Helena Thomas. They're holding a news conference this morning at 11 at Lincoln Center, urging the school district to fully restore her role while a fair review process plays out. The NAACP says Dr. Thomas deserves due process before any action is taken.
A show of strength as President Donald Trump visited Fort Bragg for a full-scale military showcase. Now, he watched as troops showed off their speed, their power, and precision, and more than 600 paratroopers jumped from planes. There are also booming artillery and simulated building raids. Trump highlighted the plan to invest $1 trillion in U.S. forces, and he had this message for the soldiers.
The last sound you ever hear will be the dueling howl of Black Hawks in the dead of night, the thunderous boom of artillery fire, or the ferocious roar of a U.S. Army infantry brigade charging over the horizon. That brigade is going to charge like you've never seen before, and hopefully I can keep you out of that, but if I don't, you're ready.
In addition to praising the Army and its readiness, the president also spoke on other topics, including reaching military recruitment goals, restoring the names of 7 more military bases previously named after Confederate figures, and his response to the protests in L.A. Some of the claims he made in that speech have been challenged in previous addresses, and you can find those on WRAL.com.
A 13-year-old is charged in connection to a shooting at a Northeast Raleigh apartment complex. Police say they found 17-year-old boy shot on Caldera Way Monday night. He was taken to the hospital with serious injuries. A 13-year-old is accused of shooting him. The names of both teens have not been released.
Raleigh police are rolling out a new summer safety plan, and this plan will have 3 goals: eliminate violent crime, remove dangerous illegal firearms, and hold repeat offenders accountable. Police Chief Rico Boyce says the focus areas include nightclubs, event spaces, transportation hubs, public parks, and greenways. He also shared updated crime statistics with City Council yesterday. Compared to the same time frame last year, the number of aggravated assaults and stolen vehicles has decreased. Homicides remain steady, though, and the city's seen an increase in robberies. Chief Boyce also says the new summer plan aims to keep crimes at a minimum.
Fayetteville's mayor highlighting the city's attention on public safety, youth, and the community. In his State of the City address, Mitch Colvin said Fayetteville has funded and invested in public safety more than ever before. He cited investments in camera systems and ShotSpotter. He also emphasized the importance of having great schools to grow the economy and develop great leaders.
I am looking forward to working with the new superintendent from the schools and to the school boards. It is impossible to have a great city and a great community without great schools.
Colvin says he is committed to working with other city leaders to make Fayetteville a great place to live.
Your time is 8:39. Prices rising. 5 on your side's Keely Arthur explains how a change in the way inflation is measured could affect the way we are really thinking about what we pay for.
And Bahamas, anyone? Yeah, sign me up. The new way to escape the triangle that'll be taking off today.
It is 43 right now. We take a live look at the gardens behind me. Lots of moisture in the atmosphere right now, and we continue to see some blue try to break out, and then the clouds fill right back in. And that's because we have a lot of moisture in the atmosphere, and we add a little heat to it, and it helps those clouds to actually redevelop. Hour by hour rain chances, it's 20 to 30% chance. Our newest run of the Futurecast model shows a little bit more rain and thunderstorm activity across our area this afternoon. We're going to jump into that in just a few minutes, and instead of just our timeline, we'll actually walk through Futurecast for you coming up. Our temperatures are right now mainly in the low to mid 70s. At 74 in Garner, 73 in Cary, 76 degrees in Durham. Heading out to the playground, Gibson Play Plaza in particular, there at Dix Park. Pro tip, just put the bathing suit on the kids. There's so many water features to play with. It's going to be a hot afternoon with a high of 91. Ken?
Congestion is beginning to ease on the southern loop of the Beltline. You can see those westbound lanes there moving along at a nice steady clip this morning. In terms of other major routes coming into the capital city, here's what we're looking at. It's a situation, if you're coming in from Wake Forest, just a 3-minute delay, really, which is really good news. Things are beginning to clear up just a little bit coming in from Apex this morning on US 1, that's between Highway 55 and Highway 64 this morning, with nothing that's going to make you late at this hour.
All right, Ken, thank you. In a few minutes, we'll get an important snapshot of how quickly prices are rising in the monthly consumer price index that was just released. But first, 5 on your side's Keely Arthur explains how changes to that report could affect its accuracy.
The Consumer Price Index is a critical measure of inflation and a very big indicator of how the U.S. economy is doing. So here's a little bit more about how the CPI is actually determined. Every month, the CPI survey collects about 100,000 prices across the U.S. to create its report, and about 2/3 of that data is collected in person at brick and mortar stores. But late last week, the Bureau of Labor and Statistics announced CPI data collection was being suspended in 3 cities. The Wall Street Journal reported data collection is being reduced because of a hiring freeze imposed by the Trump administration. Economist Mike Walden says whether this affects the CPI's accuracy or not, it opens the door for criticism.
So the administration could be attacked to say, well, why should we believe these numbers? You've cut back on the data collection. Prove to me that these numbers are as good as they would have been if we had a broader sample.
Now, Walden says we don't know if this will change the accuracy of the CPI. The Bureau of Labor Statistics says any changes will be minimal. Keely Arthur, 5 on your side.
And these are the current numbers we have to work with right now coming into the WRAL Live Center. Jeff Hogan here with this information coming in on the CPI, and inflation rose year to year in the month of May, less than expected. As you see here, it was expected to go from 2.5%. It's 2.4%. So that's a 0.1% difference. Matches some expectations. It is less than other expectations. Now, the cost of groceries did go up just a little bit higher. That could have been part of the market response there for that. But President Donald Trump touting a deal made with China, this could lead to the markets rising. Dow Jones Industrial Average just a few minutes ago was at negative 60 implied opening. Now it is saying that it is over 100 points in positive territory. Big swing after this news.
Significant update in that highly anticipated report. Thank you, Jeff. You're looking live at RDU this morning, and Avelo Airlines is launching a nonstop flight to the Bahamas. Actually today, twice a week service to Nassau now takes off from RDU. It's one of 3 new routes, in fact, including Grand Rapids and Wilmington, Delaware. RDU now offers 15 international destinations, which is the most ever.
As we wrap up our Teacher of the Week segment for this traditional calendar school year, we are in Wilson. WRAL's Ken Smith visited Sally B. Howard Charter School to recognize a very special teacher known for going above and beyond in the classroom.
What word?
Angela Cherry's can-do spirit has served her well in her 46 years of teaching, the last 26 of which have been here at Sally B. Howard School of Arts and Science.
T-O spells two. Let's help
It's a charter school in Wilson named for this longtime educator who left behind quite a legacy. What does being at this school mean to you?
I remember my first year, I had a classroom full of students that could not speak English, but their parents would tell them, go to school, pay attention, and come back and teach me.
Who is that? Is that you?
Long before Miss Cherry gets to enjoy these engaging moments or on dress-up day when one of her students dressed like her, she is up early as a school bus driver to make sure her students make it to school, which is all part of that can-do spirit she brings to the classroom.
I put my heart in it, and I hope they're receiving what I'm teaching. So I just get so much joy, so much fun, so much everything out of teaching.
Who is that? That's Christian?
Miss Cherry says the challenging but most rewarding part of her day when her students, some of whom may have been struggling, learn what she's been teaching.
That's my strength when I go home, my joy when I go home. It gives me that added motivation to come back the next day.
Miss Cherry, you are WRAL's Teacher of the Week. Congratulations.
Oh my goodness, thank you.
Ken Smith, WRAL News.
What a blessing. Our Teacher of the Week segment resumes in September. If you would like to nominate a teacher, go to WRAL.com and enter Teacher of the Week in the search box.
Well deserved, Miss Cherry. A teenage girl in Zebulon received a big surprise from local police officer. And Kaden Hudson was selected as the Kids Wish Network's 2024 Hero of the Year. Zebulon and Wake Forest Police presented her with a $3,000 check. And that 14-year-old crochets stuffed animals for first responders to give to children who are facing traumatic situations. What a big heart. And what's trending today, a high school principal in Texas made headlines when he handed all 443 graduating seniors a handwritten note with their high school diploma.
On graduation night, Principal Jason Mutterer of Summit High School tucked a handwritten card into each student's diploma. Each card contained a personal message and a single dollar bill. Mutterer says that he wrote the notes because someone once did the same thing for him years ago. He said it took him more than 24 hours to write the individual notes, but my goodness, is that going to leave a lasting impression? That's amazing.
Oh, they're going to take it with them the rest of their lives.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
going to remember that someone took the time to truly wish them well before they embarked on it.
Because he did, and then he passed it on.
I love that. All right, happening today at the Durham Bulls Athletic Park, it is Whisker Wednesday. Baseball fans will be able to bring their cats to tonight's matchup against the Charlotte Knights. Tickets are $10 for humans and $5 for your furry felines. And the seats are limited to certain sections of the ballpark, just so you know. Cat tickets proceeds will go toward second chance pet adoptions.
All right, and hopefully we'll have some good weather for later on. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner out on the WRAL weather patio, braving the muggy conditions right now, Elizabeth.
You know, it's okay right now because the clouds are pretty much covering the sun. So it feels all right out here. It definitely feels sticky, but it's not so hot just yet. So not bad. If you have anything you need to do outside, I highly recommend getting it done soon. Cold front sliding eastward. This high pressure system builds in and for the most part keeps us drier and does drop our humidity just a touch for today. This is Futurecast as we roll through some cloud cover between now and lunchtime. But after lunchtime, we start to clear things out a little bit. But look at what happens. I was telling you a few minutes ago, we have a brand new run of the computer models. It's a little bit wetter than the ones that we've seen so far this morning. So right at lunchtime, notice some showers and storms between, say, noon and 5 that pop up south and east of the triangle. But that's not all. We may have another just a little band that starts to pop up around 7 or 8, again, mainly in our eastern counties. So if you are headed to Whisker Night at the Durham Bulls, your chances of seeing rain are minimal. It's mainly going to be from the triangle area eastward, and again, just a few pop-up cells. Now, when I pulled this up, it was such a cool shot. You could see the ground below, a little blue sky, and then this deck of clouds. But as you can see, the deck of clouds has taken over. 76 degrees right now with a dew point of 70. 70 is the kind of magic or not so magic number that we hit, and then it just feels very oppressive. So anything from 70 to above just feels like the middle of summer. Our temperatures are in the low to mid 70s right now. Looking at 73 in Apex, 74 in Holly Springs, 74 in Knightdale and in Garner. Around town this afternoon, our highs climb into the low 90s. So it's really going to be pretty tough. We're going to keep it just at steamy today, and then we're into the mid 70s Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for the dew point. That is extremely hot. So it's going to feel like 98 Friday and Saturday, and potentially 101 for Sunday. Whew. All right, so we're proud sponsors of Capital City Juneteenth Saturday at Dix Park. It's going to be hot, it's going to be humid, and we also have a chance for some scattered thunderstorms. Also, of course, Father's Day weekend, all weekend looks hot and sticky, so just keep that in mind as you're making your plans.
And before we go to break, here are the winning lottery numbers.